This is Extra Paycheck Podcast, episode number 16.
You're listening to Extra Paycheck Podcast, where you will learn how to build and grow your own successful online business. Now, here's your host, Alex Soul.
Welcome to yet another episode of Extra Paycheck Podcast. This is episode number 16, and today's guest is Andrew Harasewych, who is a social media expert and more precisely Google Plus expert. And I think many of us need some help, clarifications, and advice when it comes to Google Plus. So enjoy today's episode. Hi, Andrew. Welcome to the Extra Paycheck Podcast.
Hi, it's great to be here today.
Let's begin with you telling us a little bit about yourself and about your online business as well. What is that you do online?
I'm always the worst at talking about myself, but I was actually here. We'll start at the beginning. I was a mechanical engineer from Villanova University. I was working in the engineering industry for about 2-3 years, and honestly, I hated it. I was raised as an engineer. Both my grandfathers were engineers. My father was an engineer, and I thought when I went to school, I was like, oh, I guess I'm going to be an engineer.
Obvious choice.
I was always great with math and science. I loved computers, so it seemed to make sense. But once I actually got into the industry, I realized I needed something more people-facing, something a little more, social. And I started reading about marketing. I basically just dove in headfirst into books and online courses and anything I could absorb. And I realized I really like to market. I love marketing. I love the idea of it. I love storytelling. I was always involved in scouts, and I think that's kind of where the stories came from. But I liked the idea of it, of selling other people on not just selling them on something that you want them to buy, but selling them on something that can actually help them, that can actually improve their lives. And that kind of led me into my business, which, I like to help small businesses grow. So, small business may come to me, and I don't just do web design or social media. I help them solve their problems. I have one guy that I work with right now, and he's a dermatologist. He has a nutritional supplement, and he's also trying to find out if, a certain additive will help with body armor. So I actually went out with him, and I've been shooting for a long time. And so with this body armor, we had to actually add a substance to ballistic gel. And I actually, we rented out a gun range, and I went down. I actually was the one shooting because I've been shooting since I was 7 years old. I like to solve problems, and that's really it. Like, whether it's marketing your business, whether it's getting online, I just want to solve a problem. Mm-hmm. That's kind of, I think that's come from the engineering standpoint. I take things apart and I put them back together, and online and social media has lent itself to that very well. Mm-hmm. Sorry, that was a lot of words.
No, that's great. That's awesome. And is that like your main gig? Is that the main thing that you do?
I am sort of in between right now. I finished up with a few projects, and right now I've been trying to make that decision of whether I want to work for a single company or do I want to continue with an agency of my own. And I honestly kind of would like to work for a single company, only because I wouldn't have to then divide my time between different projects. I could actually just sink my teeth into one thing and know if it survives or not because of me. And that's something nice to know. Sometimes when you work with a small business, you might work for, 10 hours a month doing some small job for them. But in the end, It's still up to them. Whereas, if you're hired as a marketing coordinator or, even a community manager for a business, you can have much more of an impact with a full-time job. So that's something I've been considering now. I'm applying to a few places, but I'm in between at the moment, seeing which one gives me more money.
Yeah, that's also a good point. Sounds good, and I don't know. It sounds good and bad at the same time because it really depends. I know someone here in Montreal who works for a local, let's say, corporation. I don't want to name them, but it's a really, really huge corporation that everybody knows locally, right? And they're paying someone a lot of money to to a single person to manage their social campaigns and stuff. But that person is doing a really, really, really horrible job. Basically, the person is not doing anything. And I tried to figure out what's going on really. And the point is that because it's a big corporation, right, there's so much bureaucracy and so many people that need to approve every single post, let's say to Facebook, right?
Yep.
So that person simply can't help them because they hired them for help, but they're kind of refusing their help because they're making it so complicated, right?
I had to fire a client like that, honestly. A small business client. It was in the financial industry, and it was understandable. There's a lot of regulations, things like that. But right, when you have to jump through hoops with every single comment you place on social media, let alone just your posts, I get that. It's hard. That's tough.
Yeah, it is. What I just mean that in this case, right, you can't really, I don't know how should I put it. You can't really help them make it, and you're not really making them fail either. It's really just, it's I guess it's the wrong client. This is why you fired your client,
Right.
as you said, because it wasn't the right fit, and it just it doesn't work. Well, anyway, so I've invited you to the podcast today for one specific thing, actually. Well, mostly one thing. It's Google Plus. So Google Plus is something that's still unknown to many people, and I often hear people telling me how it's a waste of time and how there's nobody on it, and there's you shouldn't even look at Google Plus because it's completely useless. What do you think on that subject?
I think it's actually really funny. I watch way too much TV. I follow along. I don't actually watch during the scheduled times. I have Hulu, things like that. So I watch things in the background. But I've noticed even TV shows, they love to make fun of Google Plus. I love At Midnight, which is it's a game show on Comedy Central, which is actually very social media based. They'll take top posts, things like that, and they'll have hashtag contests. And they basically bring on 3 comedians to, basically do the show. And it's a common point that they make fun of Google Plus all the time. But honestly, it does not deserve any of it. What's amazing about Google Plus is, unlike Facebook has they have to succeed as Facebook. As Google Plus was just a layer on top. Google Plus was simply to give them more information for Google. So as far as Google is concerned, it was a running success. It was amazing for them. We've given them so much data, so much to work with. But even as far as connecting to other businesses, I've noticed, because you don't have to play the same games that you do on Facebook as far as organic reach is concerned. And, for the listeners who don't, may not realize, on Facebook, if you want to be seen by your followers, or at least by more than, 10% of your followers, I think it's 10% is the number right now.
I think it's actually less than that.
I think it's like 1% at this point, right? The organic reach, being able to be seen by your followers without actually promoting a post. And Google Plus is a lot better for that. Their algorithm, they have algorithms for the stream. So if you follow 5,000 people, obviously you're not going to see every single post from every single person on the stream.
Yeah.
But it's not as extreme as Facebook's is. I mean, if you're engaged with a brand, if you're engaged with a professional, if you're engaged with just another human being, you will see their posts. And that's really what the difference is Facebook, it almost seems like even if you engage with someone on a daily basis, you still may not see their post on a daily basis. It really bothers me. I even noticed that with little things like when my father would post a photo of my niece, and I wouldn't see it in the stream, and I'd have to go physically to his, not physically, but I'd have to actually go to his page and look on Facebook and see the top post where it's on Google Plus. I wouldn't have missed that. I feel like that would have just happened automatically. I don't know. I have problems with Facebook, but it could be from not understanding Facebook's ridiculous visibility, and post settings. But Google Plus seems to have a little bit easier. But to jump back to business, Google Plus, fantastic for business, because the other difference from Facebook is that unlike Facebook, Facebook is a what's the word I'm looking for? relationship graph. Relationship graph. Facebook is a relationship graph. It's based on who you know or who you've met throughout your life. Whereas Google Plus is what's based on an interest graph. So, it's based on what you want to know. So as a business, you don't want to find all the customers you already have. You want to find the people that are interested in that subject or in that cause or in that service that you're trying to fill. And I think it's lent itself so much better to businesses who want to be found by people who want to find the businesses. Google is search-based, and increasing your reach on Google simply means that you're going to be more visible on Google search. And that's just because of personalized search and all that. I mean, I thank the heavens that I was able to get in on Google Plus, the ground floor, and I now have 300,000 followers. So what I've noticed is that because of having such a large following, anyone that's in extended circles, so not just the people that follow me, there's 300,000 plus that follow me, but all of the people that follow them will all see my posts in Google search, which is why I still find posts from a year, 2, 3, 4 years ago that are still being commented on, +1, shared till this day because of search.
That's huge.
I mean, that's the only thing that makes sense to me. I mean, no one's finding it natively in their stream 4 years later. So it was found because of search, whether it's search on Google Plus or Google, I don't know yet. I wish I could. I wish we had a little more analytics visibility, but still it's being found. So I think that really says a lot. So if you're able to build your following with people that matter in your industry, that are relevant, you can utilize their connections to be found in search, which is kind of amazing. And that's what Google wants to be. They want to be more relevant. If someone like Mark Trapagan, who I very much respect in this industry, is out there posting about something and I see it in my stream, I want to follow it. And conversely, I hope that one day, people that see my, posts in streams because of Mark, they might follow that. It's who you connect to, but it's not just because you went to college together. It's because you connected based on a common interest, based on, a common profession. And I think that's really much more important than the usual Facebook Drek that you see. 1,000 pictures of a baby that you don't really care that much about. That's the usual that you see over there. So, but in the end, it's still, I have to disclaimer it and say it is based on who you follow. So if on Facebook you use it just for professional purposes, you might get more value out of it than I do. But because I've been on Facebook since, high school. 2003 was like graduating high school. No, 2003, was that 2003? I don't even know at this point. Yeah, 2003 I think was the first year that high school students were allowed to get on Facebook.
Yeah, something like that.
And I think that was literally it was my senior year of high school. So I started my Facebook account, and then it was just a downward slide since then. But it's so I was able to connect to people who at the time were very relevant, but now 10 years, 12, math, a decade later, they're not that relevant to me anymore. Whereas the people on Google Plus, I really think that they will be relevant to me in 5 to 10 to 15, 20 years, because they're still going to be talking about the same things. They're still going to be involved in the same industry. It's not just, some high school friend who you split apart from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I'm actually one of the people that doesn't hate on Google Plus. I also see value in it. Well, it's pretty simple actually. In my case, whenever I share stuff on Google Plus, I see traffic coming for like months and months. Not much traffic, but I see all the time. I see clicks coming to my websites or my resources or whatever from Google Plus. So if people come, it's already of value to me, so I can't discredit it. And sometimes I do get more traffic from Google Plus than from Facebook, which is huge in my opinion. And this is why I'm still thinking of trying to learn Google Plus properly, because I'm really bad at it and I'm not sure what I'm doing. I got 800 followers or something, which is nothing. And by the way, we have 26 people in common, you and I. I'm just looking right now.
Admittedly, Google Plus has gotten much harder. because of the amazing tools that we have had available to us, because the developers like Circle Count, Circle Scope, things like that, that really they kind of cut through all of the difficult stuff. Like so Circle Scope is an app that you can actually use to add. I mean, you can research other people, what people they're following, who's following them, what people went to a certain event. So if people were active at an event about marketing, Google Hangout on Air, that's potential audience for yourself if you're talking about the same subject. So immediately you have lists of people. You can just go through. You can find hundreds of people that you can immediately start trying to target. I'm not saying, spam advertising at them. I'm saying connect with them as a human being and talk to them, see what their issues are. I mean, the biggest problem with social media that businesses and professionals seem to have is they think that it immediately has to go to the sales. And whereas it's so much better for research, for knowing how to sell. Once you get that person to the website, the issues that you need to solve. Thanks to social media. So, you get that traffic from social media to your website and then you sell. A lot of people think that the social media is for the sales, but it's not. It's customer service. It's research. It's market research. It's, just connecting with people, humanizing your brand, as, a lot of the top marketers like to say now.
Yeah. And basically the sales will be just a byproduct of that, exactly. All of that.
Sales shouldn't be your number one priority. Sales should be the byproduct of being a great brand, of having a service or product, right? Like no amount of social media expertise will solve a service or product that is bad. I mean, that's just, it needs to be able to solve a problem for the people first. I mean, so, a lot of people will go, oh, well, my app's not selling. Well, maybe there's a problem with the app. That might also be an issue. A lot of people like to blame the distribution rather than blaming, their thing.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so you have, looking right now, 337,000 followers, and your profile on Google Plus got almost 38 million views by now. How does one manage that?
Magic.
I knew it.
It is I would love to be like, oh, it's been, an amazing run, but at the same time, it kind of is a downside also. So what happened was I got into Google Plus a long time back, and, right when Google Plus was starting out, and, people were kind of starting to, they were starting to realize, like, what can we share on this network? This is an all new thing. What are we going to do? So I kind of was sick of on Facebook seeing, like I said, the family stuff, the friends, just, it wasn't anything that allowed me to grow as an individual. And I really, being an engineer originally, I still have a huge love for science, and I wanted to start sharing about science. And so I did that. And because no one else was yet really sharing there were a few people that were sharing scientific stuff, but no one was really doing any kind of roundups. And so each week I started doing a, science of the week, kind of what's been going on. And sure, people have podcasts about this, and this isn't at all an original idea. But, I started doing it on Google Plus, and people seem to like it a lot. I think it definitely lends itself because the tech industry and the scientists, they very much liked Google over Facebook. It was better for research, better for just finding people of your own industry, like I said before. So I got into it, and Google being Google, they tried to track what's relevant and what's doing really well. So they have what's called the suggested user list. And through my science postings, I was able to get onto the suggested user list, which once I was on there, I mean, it went up about 800 to 1,000 followers per day. It was at a ridiculous amount of attrition of followers, which really amazing at the time. This was just me getting started in marketing as a whole, just, feeling it was basically me putting my feet in the water. I was just playing. At that point, I was playing with Google Plus. I was I didn't really think I'd get into marketing. I was, out of work as an engineer, and I was like, this looks like fun. I'll try Google Plus. I love Google search. So, I started playing with it and it went really well. But as the followers went up, what I noticed was I got a lot of people who join, they would join Google Plus, and they're given those, those options of follow this circle or follow this circle of suggested users. So I would get a lot of people who'd follow me, and then I don't think that they ever even came back to Google Plus. Like, they signed up, followed a bunch of people, the suggested users, and then just never logged in again, which is a shame, because the way social works is, even, like Facebook with their Edge rank, or they call it something different now, but it's still the same difference. Google has the same thing, just not as extreme, but only a certain percentage of your followers may see your post at any one time. Sure, depending on the numbers, it might be all of your followers, it might be half of them, it might only be a small percentage of them, depending on how many of their other people that they're following are posting, and there's a lot of things involved. So it kind of led itself to, it might be actually reducing my reach more than it's extending it, but the side benefit being from the Google search, the personalized search, like I mentioned before, because not only do the people following me, but all the people following them all see me in their search. So when you go on Google search and you have personalized search and you search for a tag, you might find a Google Plus post in that first page. And I believe that I am showing up on the first page for a lot of people, which is very, very helpful. The problem is with Google Plus specifically, getting people to come back into Google Plus and engage. That's the harder part. But I don't want to scare people away from Google Plus. I would still say a very large number of my following is very engaged. It's just, you got to, take some, or what's the, I keep blanking on phrases today. Take some, salt with it. Oh my gosh. Wow. Blanking on everything today.
Take it with a grain of salt.
There you go. That's the one I was looking for. Take it with a grain of salt. It's not, it's not going to solve all of your social media problems to get on Google Plus. And the other thing is, you were saying you want to learn Google Plus, but what I've noticed is Google Plus is kind of the culmination of common sense plus social media. So on Facebook, we're almost motivated to go around to every Facebook group and share our post into that Facebook group. Whereas on Google Plus, because of Google, we know that Google hates duplicate content. Yeah. And so being that all public communities, at least for us marketers that understand this, all communities that are public are indexed by search. So therefore, we shouldn't be posting the exact same content into communities, because then Google will see, hey, this guy posts the same content everywhere. That's not good. Google hates that. And what they've actually done is they automatically start flagging people that do that. So they never even realize that they could be posting for months to communities and go, I don't have any interaction. Google Plus sucks. Whereas they've just been blocked as spam because they're spamming. That's exactly what they're doing. They haven't engaged anyone. They haven't just say hello, like something. But, so Google Plus very much, you have to treat it like real life. You can't just run into a party and go, hey, I'm Andy, buy my products, hey. You walk in, you go, hey, what's going on at this party? You look around, you see all the different groups at the party, you go introduce yourself to one of them. You might make a little spiel, but you might not. It depends on the person you talk to. And that's Google Plus. It's not a one size fits all, throw your advertising at it kind of thing. It's actually for people to connect with other people. And I don't know, it's kind of amazing to me. Whereas Facebook was more, you're already connected with them and it just gives you another avenue to talk to them. Google Plus gives me an avenue to really connect to new people. I just haven't been able to get that on Facebook, apart from the occasional friend of a friend commenting on something and going, hey, we comment the same way, like I might talk to you. Whereas Google Plus, I've met more new people in a month than I have in 8 years on Facebook. It's kind of amazing.
Yeah. And it's the groups that you're mentioning. For me, I see like really different engagement and results in groups, which is really it's not weird, but in Facebook is the same thing as well as in Google Plus. I find that you could find a group with, let's say, 100,000 followers, right? Two groups on the same subject, let's say marketing of some sort, like social media group. So two groups with a similar following, and one of them will be super engaged and people will be sharing and commenting and talking, and the other group with the same amount of followers, it's pretty much all spam. It's just people posting and nobody liking, nobody
And
commenting.
I always wonder why people keep posting to those communities, but that's
Me too.
no, it's totally what some people seem to fail to realize is that the power of a community is not in the numbers, it's not in the quantity, it's in the quality. I've seen that. I have social media strategy, which has just under 200,000 members because we actually closed our membership. So now you have to actually request to join rather than just being able to click the button and join. Notice the spam dropped dramatically after doing that. So, it is what it is, but it helps. But what I've noticed is that community is so large, 200,000 members, yet we get more engagement in our social media professionals community, which has about 40,000. So it's really, it depends on how many people are actually coming back. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. So, it's communities are not, the strength is not based on just the total number of members. Definitely. I agree.
Yeah. And it's the same thing on Facebook, because when I was offering some local services, I joined a lot of groups that it had something like local marketing or small local business in the name of the group, and a lot of them had a lot of people. And when I joined in, I've seen most of them were about MLMs.
Yep.
It was all about multi-level networking, and pretty much it had like hundreds of posts per day.
Yep.
Basically, people pitching their Herbalife or Amway or whatever it was. Nobody liking, nobody commenting, but just hundreds and thousands of people.
And it just keeps going for years. And that isn't new. That's been years of that.
Yeah.
Of the same garbage. And that's the problem, is that people want a community to be their home away from home. But the problem is, like, as a business, you can't, or as a business, as a marketer, as a small entrepreneur, whatever, even as an MLM, whatever, useless fake marketers, but whatever, it is what it is. If you want to do that, fine. So, they come into these communities, or they start a community and they go, well, this is just my place to grow my name. Whereas a community, it has to be about the community. So if people are going to constantly be spammed at, the people that aren't spamming won't want to stick around. Like that's it. Like, and I've seen it with so many communities on Google Plus too, where the moderation drops to nothing, and they go, oh, no one wants to engage my community. Well, it's because you didn't work on it. I mean, that's you didn't put your foot down when that first person went, hey, buy my Herbalife nonsense, or it works raps, which aren't scientifically based at all.
Yes.
Sorry, I get really upset at those MLM things.
Me too.
Stupid people. Honestly, I'm sorry. Actually, no, sorry. Naive people. Some of the people are not stupid. They're just naive. And they really, some people are just in a tough situation. They want to make money, and they go, I can't find a job. And they see this ad that goes, hey, you can make a 6-figure income by sharing on social media. Well, holy crap. Of course they're going to try it. And it's misleading, and honestly, the only way those companies get around it is by, organizing themselves in countries that don't have the laws that protect us. That's why they're, or they'll be in a state like Utah, where Utah is still protected. So you actually find a lot of those MLMs out of the U.S. are all based out of Utah, because they can actually get around a lot of the laws that protect people from businesses like them. It's a shame. It really is. And seeing, I've seen people lose their money. I've seen people, even just fake marketers, people that, they'll take one mastermind course and they'll go, I'm a marketer now, and I can take your money to build your website. And their website is absolute garbage, and they don't know what they're doing. It upsets me. I get physically I get angered about this, but
Yeah. I have personal issues against MLM, and whenever I get the chance, I try to discourage people from joining. And
flat out tear into them.
yeah, I kind of stopped arguing with the ones who are within MLMs, because you can't you can't persuade a person that they made a huge mistake and they're being scammed.
Yeah, well, they drank the Kool-Aid. They're in it already. They're like, oh well, the only way I can get out is by selling my product.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I know what you mean. No, it's to even and that leads into our the political issues that we've been having in the U.S. too. People are very difficult. It's tough to make someone change their mind on something that they've been doing for years, let alone for their entire lives. But even with these MLMs, they might be doing it for a year, 2, 3, and they get sucked into it. They go to the Key West, meetings where you can pay to talk to the people that started the MLM and get awesome training. But all the training is like, share on social media, use pictures. Pictures are great. Like that. Every blog post ever about Twitter has told us that already. Like, come on. And they'll call it training, and then these people come out and they go, I'm a marketer. And then they just make us all look bad. It's a downward spiral for marketing as a whole. Because the public sees that and they get spammed at by these people, and then they kind of ruin it for the rest of us. Those of us who are just trying to share some content that might lead into a half of a sales pitch, and they'll go, oh no, definitely not. Well, that product might have helped you. It's because people are constantly trying to sling garbage your way that people are they're worried about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've seen similar thing happen to affiliate marketing, because this is where my start was with online marketing. I started as an affiliate marketing. That's what I was learning, and affiliate marketing as well. It earned quite a bit of a bad name, not because of affiliate marketers themselves, but rather because of thousands, if not millions, of spammers. They use affiliate marketing to earn some money, right?
And that's a good distinction to make. That right, the ones that are spamming were not the marketers, right? That's the point. Is there were affiliate marketers, bloggers who did it very well for years before it was even a big thing. They were selling ads, they were selling banner ads, they were doing it. You could say that banner ads are similar to affiliate as long as they're based on sales. Obviously.
Yeah.
But right, it's nowadays, affiliate marketing it's kind of looked at like MLM marketing, where it's like, that's how you make your money. Like, okay, dude.
And it's funny because sometimes I explain it to people, and I put it in a really simple way. I'm like, okay, so you wanted to buy a suitcase for your future travels to Europe. They're like, yes. I was like, what? How did you buy it? How did you decide on it? She's like, well, some of my friends told me about some brands that are like, they make good suitcases. So I went on Google and I started looking for reviews. I'm like, okay, what happened next? He's like, well, I found this really great site that did like amazing reviews with videos of suitcases. And they even sent me to Amazon, because Amazon offered the best deal on those suitcases. So I bought them, and I'm super happy because I bought a great product at a really good price. I'm like, do you realize that you did buy through an affiliate marketer? That's the guy that did the reviews, and the link that he gave you to Amazon was an affiliate link. And they're like, well, it's not the same. Like, he really helped me. He wasn't like spamming me. I was like, well, that's the whole point of affiliate marketing. It's not about spamming or not spamming. Affiliate marketing is, connecting a buyer and a seller. That's all it is. Yep. Now, how it's done, through spam or not, I was like, that's completely different. And the guy that spams you with, Viagra emails every day and make an affiliate commission. He's also an affiliate marketer, but he's, first of all, to me, a spammer and, sometimes even a scammer more than anything. But people still, they still fail to kind of, just go along with it. Like,
unethical bloggers that aren't putting on their posts, that aren't putting on their videos. It's actually a law in America, at least. I mean, worldwide, there's so many different countries, so many different laws to follow. Everything's not the same, but at least for U.S. bloggers, you have to disclose if something is affiliate. You have to put it in clear words on each post within the post content, not just in the footer of your website, not on some disclaimer page. It has to be in the same area, basically, so that if someone's reading that content, they cannot miss that disclaimer. And that's the problem, is most do not. And that's what's killed affiliate marketing, is it's not based on actually connecting someone to the best possible product. It's connecting someone to the product with the highest possible return on it, on the time.
Yeah.
It's which one do they think will be most popular video for the Amazon product? It really is a shame. The only things I actually have put a few. Now I have to go back on my Meerkat guide. I actually have a few products from Amazon on there, and they are affiliate links. I need to go in there and add a sentence to that. But those were all, I did like the cheapest possible. I found like the $6 products that, someone could use to basically get around buying expensive, equipment. But again, I need to do that. I need to get in there and say, hey, this is a link that will give me some money. I think, and granted, that didn't motivate why I put that product on there. However, people deserve to know that.
Yeah, that's true. And see, I try to do it. Sometimes I simply forget. Sometimes it's older posts and I'm just not going to go edit them. And I'm in Canada, so FTC doesn't really apply to me.
Right, exactly.
And I'm not sure if Canada has the same laws. I've never heard of anything similar, so I don't think so. However, like one of my most, let's say on my Extra Paycheck blog, one of my most profitable pages is a page that I call Tools. This is basically where I share all the tools and resources and products that I use for online business and my podcast and whatnot. And I think the second paragraph on the page is actually a full paragraph about how the links they're following are affiliate links and how I am going to earn a commission if somebody buys through those links, right? And I really don't mind that disclaimer because I think it actually helps make sales because people see us more honest. And, I kind of try to explain it. I was like, look, the only products that I'm promoting on, like, personally, I'm not every marketer or every spammer or every whatever, but personally, I only promote products that I use for my business, only services that I use. Like I could promote a hosting service that pays me $100 per sale, yet I'm promoting one that only pays me $10 per sale. However, that's the one I'm using, and I love using it. So there you go. They are affiliate links, but I personally use these products, and it's up to you to make a decision if you want me to make a commission or not.
That's the best way to do it. That's exactly, and because that's not only. It's not only good as far as legally, if you're in the U.S. and it's the FTC, which is crazy. The Federal Trade Commission, whatever. It is what it is. They're a little crazy in their laws. But, even just, like building that authenticity, building trust with an audience, that's part of it. I mean, saying, like, this is how I do what I do. It's just explaining what it is you do even, and you need to be able to do that. And if you can't do that, your audience is going to be able to tell you're bullshitting. And that's with these, affiliate links. So, I'll see marketers all the time and they're sharing this stuff and I go, you don't use that. Oh. So, it's crazy.
Yeah. Okay. So I just have a few questions left for you. And first one being, let's say someone is starting a Google Plus page for their business or for the services that they want to offer to people. What would be your suggestion, like one of the most important suggestions on how to properly grow that Google Plus page and to make sure that the people that are following you are actually going to be engaged audience and they will listen to what you have to say?
Well, it involves kind of growing at your own scale, if that makes sense. So a small business, so let's say you're a brand new marketing agency, just an example I would know. So let's say you're a brand new marketing agency, you had a little work as a marketer, as a freelancer or something like that. And you want to start a page, start a business. So that you're not going to be able to go comment on Gary Vaynerchuk's posts and immediately get responses from him and get a new connection. What you need to do is find people that are in your similar area, in your range. So when I started, I was looking to guys like Mark. I use him as an example again, but he's a perfect example. Mark Trapagan, because he was just kind of blowing up in the industry as far as search and SEO. He got a job with Eric Ange, who is also amazing at SEO, amazing at search. He knows everything about everything. But I wasn't trying to connect with the, Guy Kawasaki's, Gary Vaynerchuk's of the world.
Yeah.
You got to try to find your crowd. And that's really it. You go for that one-to-one win, that single win, until those single wins start to form a landslide. Don't focus on getting 1,000 followers. Focus on getting 10 followers that actually care about what you want to, of what you're posting.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, as you said, one by one.
Right, and that's any network. It's one by one, honestly, and that's the only way you can start. I mean, but again, you grow at scale. So let's say I am starting a job as the social media manager of MoMA, of the New York, Museum of Modern Art. That's a much different prospect, because in that situation, you want to be connecting to those people who are bigger in it. You want to skip those steps. You don't have to go after the tiny little guy, because people know your name already. So you have to grow at scale. Whatever your scale is, that's how you grow. You can't just use Andrew has, 300,000 followers in a year or 2 years, so let's do that. Like that, it's not going to work that way. It's especially if you're not an early adopter on a network, you can't expect that kind of response or growth. So, like I keep saying before, take it with a grain of salt. You try your hardest and you just connect to people. You don't worry about having 1,000 followers. You worry about having those 10 that care.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
And they're the ones that will share with their family, with their friends, with their, and you build that trust and authority.
Yeah. Well, actually, one of the networks that I'm really liking right now is Instagram. And I started, I would say, a test account in a way a few months ago, and I grew it to about 4,000 people so far, 4,000 followers. And the thing is that I'm getting about 10% engagement, meaning that every time I post on Instagram, about 10% of my followers either like or comment on the image, the picture. Well, mostly it's likes. Comments are a lot more scarce, right? But yeah, so I'm getting 300, 400 likes on every picture I post out of 4,000 followers. And apparently it's unheard of on Instagram. It's considered like really, really huge numbers, because people say usually you get if you get 1 or 2% engagement, you're supposed to be like happy and proud of yourself.
That's awesome.
Right. And now that I think back of it, this is pretty much what I did, I go on and I have a very specific theme. It's very niche based account. So I search for images that people posted in the same subject, and I comment on every single image that I actually like. It's not like some auto posting. I actually look through the images. I comment if I like them. I skip them if I don't like them. And people notice that. And like you said, one by one, I'm getting these followers, and this is why they're engaged, because they had a personal engagement with me.
That's humanizing your brand right there. It's even just having a single individual who their job is to just go through and see what people are saying about your brand, or what people are saying about, let's say you're in architecture in a certain city. You want to know what people are saying about the buildings in that city, and you go follow on Instagram the people that photograph the buildings in the city, and you find out why they aren't photographing your building. Like things like that.
Yeah.
It's such a good avenue for market research, social media as a whole.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so another question for you is, what would be your complete to not do on Google? What will be the death of your Google Plus account, in your opinion?
Consistently sharing nothing. So consistently just automating it. basically. I mean, Google Plus is very anti-automation. I've noticed that, even a few of the bigger names who it's almost obvious when they do automate. So I think that's number one, honestly, on Google Plus. Just take a time, if you're going to share a link, just take the time to add a few words. Even it's also common sense because Google is so search based that by adding a few words that are different from the title, that are different from the description, that aren't just a copy paste of text from the article, you're increasing your potential reach, because that's one more search term that could come up in Google that someone could find your post with. So I kind of look at it at Google Plus posts, at social media posts at all. Like each post is its own meta description. At least on Google more so than anyone else, because Google's actually searchable, whereas Facebook, it is what it is. Facebook keeps trying to put out search, but they keep failing at that. You still can't find old posts. So,
yep.
Right. Eventually, once they get on it, I think that will be an important thing to have, to be able to vary those words. I mean, so then when you go to 3 different communities, you don't just post that link with the copy pasted title. You go on Monday and you post it to one community and you talk about how it meant, this, A, B, C to you. And then on 2 days later, you might go to the next community and go, this community, their focus is a little different. I'm going to focus on this topic of my piece and write, another 2-3 sentences that, about a slightly different, extended, or, it's about repurposing content. And
yeah, true. And to me, let's say one of the things that I liked that I've seen good results is it's on Google Plus, and the same thing on Facebook. And I guess it's, as you mentioned before, it's basically common sense mixed with social media, right? So when there's a conversation or someone has a specific problem and I have a solution for this problem, as in, let's say I wrote a very detailed blog post on that very subject, right? I would share that blog post on that conversation, but I wouldn't just post a link. I would kind of give them an answer or, some kind of a guideline. Let's say if you're, you're having hard time concentrating when working at home. So I would give out like 3, 4, 5 tips in a comment to that person directly. And then I would tell them, by the way, I wrote a really detailed guide on my blog. It's free. Go check it out if you want more information. And I've seen like a lot of engagement. People really like that. I don't know. I don't think it actually shows up in search anywhere, but at the moment it gets a lot of engagement because
it's more powerful than the posts that do show up in search to do that. I do that in all of my communities. That's why I wrote a Google Plus community guide for members. So people can go through and they can go through and go, oh, well, that's why Google's marking me as a spammer, or that's why that community banned me. They can learn these things. So I'll go to them on a post and I'll say, instead of just saying, hey, we're removing your post, read the rules, I'll go, hey, did you know that Google doesn't like duplicate content? So when you post the same thing to multiple communities, Google sees that as, kind of a violation. And then I'll go, read more about it here. And I send them a link, which also has the hashtag at the end, link reference. Crap, words today. It's late already. It's 11:30 over here. Been up for a while. So, like anchor links. It'll automatically go to the exact place in the article that I'm sending them. It won't just be, I'm sending them to a 3,000 word article and saying, figure it out. I give them, like you said, part of the answer, and then I say, you can get the rest here if you want it. And that's powerful. I mean, it still shows up. It may not show up on, a Google search, but it will show up on a Google Plus search. If someone's, asking a certain question and Google connects your answer to it, it'll find it in the comments, which is great. So it can help. It's just not a backlink, so to speak. But backlinks are not, the what we're going for. We're going, we're not trying to place a link. We want a link to be placed for us. So when we go in a comment and we say, hey, like this may help you, we hope that person was helped so much that they'll then go, you know what? I'm going to share that post to my following. And there's a backlink right there.
Yeah.
And that's really what you need to go for. Have other people place your links for you. Don't list them yourself.
Totally. And I was actually active in a pretty big SEO community on Google Plus, and I was active, so I would comment, I would ask questions, and I would share my own posts, blog posts, and people would, I would get a good engagement. And at some point, I wrote a blog post about how we should not go after backlinks and how fake link building is really horrible, and it's not long term, and it just nobody should do it. However, I tried to be clever and I tried to be controversial a bit, so I titled my blog post something like, how to become a successful blog comment spammer or something like that. Right? And they banned me from the community based on a title because they're against, let's say blog comment spamming. And they just banned me while my article was totally against it.
See,
right?
that's the title was some moderators, right? Like they'll look at it real quick and go, no.
Yeah. And I tried to get
pretty obvious. Like I would have thought, like that's very obvious. They're probably a little tongue in cheek there.
Yeah, and I tried to get through to them to get unbanned, but it was,
Was that the community run by the page called SEO?
Maybe. To be honest, I don't remember anymore. It was like half a year ago.
From that community too, but it was something like stupid. Yeah, it was something dumb, like little thing. Yeah, like I got upset at like the page because they gave some bad advice to someone or something. The community, there are a lot of great people there. I'll say that.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that's I'm thinking it's their loss.
Yeah, exactly.
Their loss. Okay,
it's not the end of the world. There's more communities, and honestly, social media, there's so many people around. Like if you're asked to leave a community, it's not the end of the world. I mean, that's what some people, when I've, regrettably had to remove certain people, or even when I've had to moderate a post, some will get so angry and incensed, like. I mean, I don't even understand. Like, they're like, well, I was just trying to help your community by sharing my blog post. Well, thanks. Like, because we don't have enough content on the internet. If your content is that amazing that we can't miss it, then someone else will probably share it. And if not, then, maybe you should wait, interact with some other people first, let people know that you're there for more than yourself. And I think that's what people want to see from brands, from professionals, from just anyone in general. They want to know that you're not just there because they're talking about a subject and you did a search and you found that hashtag. They want to know you want to connect with them personally, because they're, and make them feel special.
True.
A little touchy-feely, but, in the end, everyone just wants to feel like they're special.
True. All right, Andrew. So let's end this podcast with you sharing the ways for people to get in touch with you and to find out more about your business, your Google communities, and yourself as well.
But yeah, you can find me on Google Plus. My name is very difficult to spell, so we will likely include a link on the blog post here. But if you want to just search social media strategy, I'm the owner of the social media strategy community with about 200,000 members. So if you search for it at the top of Google Plus, chances are you'll find it, and you'll be able to get to me through there, or Twitter at Socializations. But again, we'll include all those links likely in the post. But I try to float around. I'm not just in one place. I have on my website my cell phone numbers there. I make myself available to people.
And what is your website?
It's actually antiguru.co. I actually made
antiguru.co.
Yeah, it's actually my first name.co, but I made myself a little easier to spell one because it's actually andrij.co, but that Anti-Guru, I think, is the brand that I'm kind of leading myself to. Okay. I'm like I said, I'm kind of at a middle ground right now as to I'm not sure if I'm pushing for the agency or if I want to kind of restructure a little bit or just go for the full-time job. So we shall see as time goes on.
All right. Awesome. Thanks for sharing, man. And thank you so much for coming on today's show.
Of course. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much for tuning in to yet another episode of Extra Paycheck Podcast. As usually, I will be posting all the resources and things we talked about in today's episode on my show notes page, which you could find at extrapodcast.com/16. Also, thank you all so much for subscribing to my show on iTunes, for rating it and leaving reviews. This helps me tremendously. If you haven't already, you can do all those things at extrapodcast.com/iTunes. Once again, thank you for tuning in, and I'll talk to you next Monday.